Yes, I wanted to say a couple of things about Mars, because this is the reason why we are here, basically. Because the Atacama Desert is a great Mars analog. The rover you can see there is the ExoMars rover, and this one is the rover 2020. So two European initiatives to explore the surface of Mars. So our American colleagues, they have developed quite a large portfolio of rovers. So they have had plenty of them on the surface of Mars. Now they are facing quite some strong budgetary issues at the moment, and we are hoping that Europe acts as a relay so that we maintain a constant robotic presence on the surface of Mars. So ESA, the European Space Agency, has earmarked a couple of missions towards Mars. The first one being, well, the next one being ExoMars, which is this rover there. And basically this sets up the context for the activity we've been doing here. SAFER is a project that is a technology development project that is hoping to generate expertise in support to the ExoMars mission. So ExoMars is planned the rover option for 2018, launched in 2018, so it's coming quite soon. Yes, this is a nice picture taken by Eli. Yes. So why exactly did we come here with a rover prototype in the Atacama Desert? Basically, this image shows the rover that has been traveling. You can see the track here on this path, and this rock there was flat when the rover started approaching it. And then when it drove on it, basically it drove on only its side, and it triggered the rock to change its position from horizontal to vertical. In that case, it didn't have a big impact on the platform, but this is typically the type of things you can observe in a very uncontrolled environment, which is the surface of Mars, that you cannot reproduce in a lab environment. So this is why we are doing field trials. So we bring a rover system onto a very challenging, fascinating but uncontrolled environment, and we test everything, we shake it down. Okay, so yes, SAFER, I've already told you a little bit about it. So the project focuses on this very challenging step, that is to identify a target of interest. Now we used the ExoMars reference mission scenario, if you like. So we have been looking at this specific step that is required for looking for traces of life. So you look for a feature of interest, you approach it, you survey it with a number of instruments, and ultimately you take a sample as well. So using a drone, for instance, drilling through the surface of Mars. So you can see here the map of the area that we've been working in the past week. It's not big. It should be about 50 meters by 50 meters, maybe a little bit more, but not more than that. We are not doing very long traverses. And the drilling part, well, we had a hand auger, so a typical hand drill for use by geologists, but the characteristics of the soil here being very sandy meant that we had to do basically a trench, dig ourselves. So who is in the SAFER team? So this project is financed by the European Space Agency, which is in Holland. There are quite a number of partners in the UK, so Leicester University, Aberystwyth in Wales, Astrium, which is in Stevenage, SciSys in Bristol. The lab is next to Oxford. The UK Space Agency as well has financed a bit, and the University College of London is involved. Then we have Latmos in France, which has been providing one of the instruments, SpaceX, another instrument, and Joanneum Research, which is in Austria, which is compiling the pictures taken by the panoramic camera to perform 3D projections, basically. And then we collaborated with the Universidad Católica del Norte, and we are very happy that we've been hosted by the Paranal Observertory here. So the project started, in fact, about a year ago. We started the activities in January, and there was a design phase where we we thought about what were the procedures that we were going to use in the field, and then we tried assembling all the instruments onto bridges. And this is in a quarry in Oxfordshire, in the UK, where we had a sort of big repetition of the field campaign here. So you can see Steve here, who is our engineer from the PANCAM, trying to plug these cables. We have Derek, the geologist here, and Thor, who is the engineer in charge of Klupi, this close-up imager. And this is Eli, I think. Yes, the platform engineer, so you've seen him this afternoon. Okay, so to transport, so that's basically our system that we've taken into the field for this entire week. The transport has been okay. We were a little bit worried about transporting it. Finally, we found this very big truck which could accommodate Bridget on its back. So every morning, every evening, we load it using these ramps and we take it out of the field and back on the field in the morning. You can see all the different instruments there. And basically the platform is controlled via a wireless link. It operates autonomously. So it loads an activity of plants, which is decided in the UK. I will tell you a bit more about that. And then in the field, we receive this plan, we load it onto the rover, and then it executed all the activities autonomously. So it's able to detect big rocks and travel around it, to analyze whether a rock is big enough to drive on it or not. Okay, on the 5th of October, this is when we took this tour with Professor Chong. We did quite a long tour. We found many very interesting places, even a nice valley with a dry lake, which was of high interest because it's interesting geologically speaking. And we were looking for specific features that are associated with possible traces of life on Mars. So this type of dry lakes was very interesting. But it was quite far away, a lot of off-road driving, and we couldn't set up the Wi-Fi antenna, so we had to give it up. So this is what we did with Guillermo. Basically, we took the Sierra Lecunia McKenna Road, found a couple of sites there, then we continued, we did a big triangle of different sites. This is the area where we found a dry lake, and this is the observatory here. And in the end, we selected, I think it's somewhere there, the site where we operated all this week. And that's a map that is taken by a UAV, so a drone. Once we selected this site, we mapped it precisely with a UAV, so sort of miniaturized aircraft that we fly with a camera to map the area. And that's a little bit more close-up, and this is the work area basically. So we parked, this is the road. If you take it in that direction, you go back to ISO. We parked the car every day in the same area there, and this is, where is it, the triangle? Yes, this is our work area basically. The rover ever traveled in that path basically. And this type of aerial image, if you like, are very important for simulating a mission to Mars, because in the real case of the mission to Mars, they use orbiter images basically to sort of prepare for the landing of the rover and try to decide where they are going to go. So we emulate that by flying a UAV and reproducing the same type of map. And this should show you the UAV. So that's Aaron and Wayne from the team flying the UAV to map this area. It's quite... And Wayne running to catch the... Yes. It's quite a nice piece of kit. It handles the wind okay as well. Okay, so that's the same map as before, but oriented a little bit differently. The road basically to ISO is there, right at the bottom. And this shows you a little bit how we operated. So what we did is use initially two types of information on the site. So the aerial image that you see there, And then we selected a point where we would do an initial panorama using the panoramic camera that's on the rover. So basically we used these two information and we sent that to the UK, where there was a simulated mission control center, exactly the same setup as a real Mars mission, except that for a real Mars mission they would have worked together for quite a long time, whereas in the UK they didn't know each other so well, so it was a little bit more challenging for them. And we sent them these two information, and from that on they had to take control. They had to decide where to go, what to investigate, where the rover should go, everything. And we are on site where they're only to execute the plan and prevent any issue with the rover. So that's the point we selected for taking the initial panorama. Basically, it gave them a nice view on this site, and then we gave them two options because we were quite limited in time, we only had 1 week. So we gave them the option either to start from this point or from this second point there. And then the idea was that we had noticed some areas of interest. So this one there, that's a sort of yellow patch that we called pond. This area as well. So we had pre-identified areas and we were wondering whether they would select the same ones in the UK. Yes, I should show you a little bit more the area where we work. That's taken approximately from where the car was parked. Yes, you can see the tracks, the tent, our base camp, the Wi-Fi antenna that was our link to Paranal, allowing us to still have internet connection. And that was our base camp. So every day we came here, had quite a comfortable setup with internet routers, tables and chairs. Everything was going well, and then we were hit by a storm. So that was on October 9th. So I think we had 2 days, not even 2 days, with this tent, and we realized that we were basically on the path of dust devils. So they form in this area and then they cross, and we were hit by one and we lost the tent. So luckily nothing was damaged apart from the tent that was completely ruined. So we built a version 2 of the base camp after that with a stronger tent. You can see it's a different one. We had a generator on site as well that was lent us by Paranal. Yes, what else can you see? Yes, this on top of the boom there is the wireless link to the platform. And you can see the antenna to ISO there. Okay, so the first day is basically we tested the rover platform. This is a time-lapse of a traverse done by the platform, which is called Bridget, manufactured by Astrium in the UK. And so we tested it just to see if everything was okay with the autonomous navigation. We did a couple of traverses, point turns, as you can see, evolution, not in the final site, but closer to our parking lot, if you like, so that we don't generate any tracks. Okay, and then we kicked off the activity on the 7th of October, both in Atacama and in the UK. So I will show you a bit more about that. That's a very nice picture taken by Ellie from the team, showing Bridget in the field. Okay, so the interesting part about this activity is that the team is split in two. So we are the team in the field, but there is an equivalent in size team in the UK, next to Oxford. And as you can see there, they are in a room where they have a very nice video wall, and they receive our images, the images generated by the rover, and they operate exactly in a similar setup as a real Mars mission. So they receive the images and only the images. They don't have they absolutely have no idea about where the site is, where the rover really is on the map. They only get the images generated by the camera on the rover and the aerial images. That's all they have. and then they generate a plan of activities, so go there, survey this rock, traverse to here, do radar soundings as well, because we have a radar giving us indications about the subsurface layer, and they do that completely isolated from us. Okay, you can see them there looking at a nice panorama generated by the camera there. And we kept a little bit of contact just in case we had issues, so we had a Skype link, catch up during the day, just to make sure that they had the right files, that everything was going okay. And that's the feel in the team, that's Gerd, so we took a nice picture of us. We have a broom here. You will see later on the use of the broom. Okay, so that's also a very nice picture from Gerd, showing us inside the tent, working, looking at the plans that the UK sent us, and verifying that the rover operates okay. So basically, we in the field are also a little bit isolated from the rover, because we don't want any tracks, tire tracks or footprints on the site, because we want it to be very realistic, very representative of Mars. So we come close to the rover as few as we can. We don't want to be in the pictures either. So we stay in the base camp as much as we can. Okay. An idea of what our daily activities were. So the day starts, we offload Bridget from the truck. So Bridget is the name of our nice rover platform. And then I think I have a nice video from Ellie as well, showing basically a little bit of operations. So that's a very nice close-up of PanCam, the panorama that sits on the top of the mast. And this is the rover in operation, moving. So what it can do basically is do scans of the subsurface structure using this instrument, which is called Wisdom. And the idea is that ultimately it's this instrument that will be mounted on ExoMars. This one is a prototype, but the final one will be on ExoMars. And this is what is going to help analyze the subsurface layer and look for traces of life. Okay, so that's the area where we've been working basically. That's the main interesting area where the UK team had to decide in which areas which area to investigate. So they selected this starting point in the end, and the first thing was to traverse directly to this pond area through a sort of a dry riverbed. So exactly what we had identified as very interesting, they spotted it as well. And they marked a couple of very interesting points that they sent us. So that's the pond. Then they saw this nice rock as well. They did a scan of the subsurface in this area there. They identified a number of very nice features they wanted us to see, and they also identified areas where they wanted us to drill, because the idea was to confirm what the radar was seeing by drilling. So if there was any bedrock or specific layer, we would see it when we were drilling. And basically, this picture is really interesting because it's really very analog to Mars, and it was taken in this specific area, right next to the pond, in the safer valley, we call it. And just changing a little bit the colors, you can see how realistic it is, how striking. This is the main reason why we came here. In fact, it's very representative. Yes, a bit more. The nice track of the rover taken this week. And there you can see the tracks that were left by the rover during the scans. So these scans basically are parallel lines that the rover followed, and in these lines the radar was used to do very regular sounding. So this is where basically the method with which scientists reconstruct the subsurface layer. So this is one of the activities that was performed this week doing this type of patterns as decided by the UK, and it was very successful, so we're very happy about that. And that's another view of the pond area, so this dry patch here. You can still see the tracks here. Bridget crossed it right in the middle, then went around there. And that's the drilling operations. So, interestingly, so there will be a drill on the future ExoMars rover. We had no prototype to mount for this specific activity, so we had to find another way. So we started with this tool there that you can see. But basically, we were very unlucky with the soil structure that is very sandy. So we could make a hole and then it would fill up instantly with the rest around. So we had to dig quite a large one, which was, yes, took a lot of time and effort. But interestingly, this is even more interesting because then you can see, as opposed to a single core or a single tiny hole used with this method, then we really did something larger and we could see very well the structure. So this we imaged and we sent back to the UK as well, so that they use this data to compare it with the radar soundings. So there are times when we cannot avoid coming next to the rover, checking the batteries, changing the batteries, turning on and off things. So plus we came in the working area with the truck as well to offload Bridget. So basically this is Michel and Andy Shaw, our autonomous navigation engineer, sweeping the desert to get rid of the trucks. It's quite working well. You can see the trucks. Yes, we were very happy to receive the visit of Antofagasta TV. So that's nice that we can give a little bit more information about what we are doing, so that we share a little bit the details of this activity and the first results. So that's Michel here, interviewed by Antofagasta TV. Michel is our technical officer, so he works for the European Space Agency. So any question you have on ExoMars, it's for him, it's right there. Okay. And we have a blog, so if you want to follow basically everything that we've been doing, we posted things every day. And that's a little friend we made this morning at breakfast. And yes, I think that's it. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate.